continue. Any questions on what we did last week on the Gita? Any questions at all?
I've got one.
Yes, sure.
Last time I think you said action and reaction is the same as karma.
Karma, yes.
Okay.
Cause and effect.
Cause and effect. Action and reaction.
Okay, now karma yoga is a little different. Karma means cause and effect. Karma yoga is to do an action without expecting anything in return. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So the idea, the idea of karma yoga is actually to burn out your karmas. Because when you're working, normally most of us work and we want something in return for the work. And when we don't get it, we have other reactions. We get disappointed, we get angry, we get frustrated because things are not working out the way we want to, right? And this creates a chain of cause and effect. So karma yoga is to do action purely and simply for the love of it. For the love of it. And in that way, you burn any reaction. So let's say you do something for the love of it. Let's say you do some charity for the love of it. And the reaction is very bad in return. Even though you try to do something good, the reaction you get is negative. So what is your behavior in that? Okay, I did my best. The reaction is negative. So not to create more karmic reactions, you disconnect, disregard, and you walk away. Otherwise, what happens is, when you do something and you get a negative reaction, which is your karma anyway, everything negative comes to you as a learning. So, when you get a negative reaction, then you return another reaction, then you create cause and effect, and then the whole thing blows up to crazy proportions. So the best thing to do in a situation like that is say your truth and walk away. Somebody, like Lord Jesus said, if somebody wants, if somebody doesn't want to hear what you are saying, what does he say? Leave their home and even dust the dirt off your feet. So you don't carry that energy. You don't carry the negativity. So karma yoga is doing actions because you love to do it. And sometimes when you do things that you love, the reaction is not so nice. Isn't it true? How many times have I talked to so many people? So just let it go. But don't let that stop you from doing things joyfully. And this is where tapas come in. Tapas is accepting pain and not causing it in return. So karma yoga is a very pure way. They say when you're in service and you just do the work because you love to do the work, the joy of the work is what fulfills you. It's just loving what you do. And that's good enough. That's your reward. And that is karma yoga. But of course, as human beings, and because of our conditioning, we are taught expect. This should happen and that should happen. But of course, life teaches us otherwise. It teaches us otherwise. And then we get disillusioned, then we get upset, and then we stop being who we were born to be, which is the truth. We're all born to be loving people. How do you know that? Because you feel best when you're loving. Simply, that's the proof. And when you're not from a loving place, you don't feel well. You feel uncomfortable with yourself. And many of us stop being who we are when we've been hurt, when a reaction has been bad. So we change our personalities, becoming bitter or blaming all the time, and then we don't move forward. And we get stuck. And then life is a waste, it's a tragic waste. So karma yoga is telling you, do action. And sometimes action feels like sacrifice. But really, out of sacrifice comes great good. Haven't you noticed, for those who are spiritual, when you go through a very, very difficult time, and if you still feel the pain, but if you accept it, after it's over, it's almost like you come to a different consciousness, a different way of being. There is a kindness that surrounds you. I've seen that with people who are aware when negative things happen to them, when they get out of the black cloud. There is a kindness. It's like all the universe is there to protect you and will give you everything that you need if your reaction is not negative. Your reaction is negative, what will happen? Cause and effect. Good question. Then what you put out is what you're going to get back again and again and again and again. And you say, why me? Why am I being punished? But you're not being punished. You're just repeating that action-reaction. And karma yoga is to go beyond the action-reaction. You don't get those back at you. You leave it where it is. If it's negative, you leave it alone and you walk ahead. But you carry on your road of joy and love and service. And you sacrifice your pain. That's a lesson learned. You learn. That's all. And then you become happy again. It's a heavy-duty question. I could talk on karma yoga and karma for hours, right? But let Lord Krishna teach us more, okay? You said page 39, yeah? So here it talks about, can I just read Gurudev's words for you? Don't look for anything just for yourself. Let your life be a sacrifice, yajna. If you use this guidance which I give you, certainly you will prosper. In order to prosper, the most important thing, the one and only thing, is living a dedicated life. Let your entire life be a sacrifice. What does that mean? That means renounce all your personal interests and personal desires. Live for the sake of others. Sacrifice is the law of life. I know it sounds harsh, it sounds a lot. And it's very deep. It just doesn't mean you live for everybody else and you forget yourself. It really means when you are really in love with yourself. And that's the step that you have to learn first and foremost. Learn to love yourself. And that love becomes overflowing, that you have so much to give people. But if you have a low self-esteem and you don't like yourself and you don't think you're good enough, you try to sacrifice, it'll taste like poison in your mouth. Why? Because you haven't understood the real meaning of sacrifice. The real meaning of sacrifice is really very beautiful. I often say it's like, a mother will stay up all night if the child is sick. You stay up all night when your husband is sick. Lovingly. And when you can look after him, you're so grateful that you can. There's a peace. There's almost pain and peace. It's bittersweet, both in one. And that is the kind of sacrifice that gives you peace. But if you're upset and you're angry, there's no peace in your mind. That's all it's saying. Why? Because the mind is thinking, I wish I could do something else. I could be here, I could be there. Instead, I have to be here, you see? And you think that you're put in a prison. But nobody's put you in a prison. Your own mind has. Because it's telling you that this is where you have to be. And by accepting it and thinking of it as a sacrifice to make you grow, you get angry and you want to go away. That anger doesn't give you peace. It just makes you more frustrated. So learn to accept it quickly and think of it. Okay, I'm here. This is my dharma. I've got this. Whether I like it or not, this has been presented to me. And I don't like it. But if I get angry and wish I was somebody somewhere else and this and that, I get even worse. And I really suffer. So there's two things I can do. One is go that anger way, or look at why this has happened to me. And think, you know what? I'm going to treat this situation as if I'm looking after God. Because I know Spirit lives in everyone. So I want to think as this is a gift given to me, the ability to be able to serve somebody else. And with that feeling, all the agitation goes. But that takes time to develop. But when you develop that feeling, such a peace. And this is why I always say again and again, before we really get into spirituality and doing all this, it's really, really important to know ourselves. And accept where we are. And don't feel guilty about where you are, but know the medicine to take to make yourself better. So if you're frustrated and angry, accept I'm frustrated and angry because I feel stuck. But am I really stuck? And if I feel stuck, what should I do to get unstuck? Go out with a friend that can help to lighten you, make you laugh for a bit, get away from the situation a bit, and then you just want to go back to the situation. You realize you're not stuck. It's just that everybody is given a time in their life which is very difficult. Nobody escapes it. And when you do it well, you love yourself. You're so proud of you. I did it. You know, I sacrificed and I did it. I did it. You love yourself and respect yourself. That's the gift you get. And Gurudev often says, be like the apple tree, you know. It grows and it grows and it grows, and then when the apples are ripe, it gives all its apples away. You don't even have to pull it off, because when it's ripe, it just falls. And we should be like that for only one simple reason. Deep in our souls, we know we are all one. We know it. That's why when somebody dislikes us, there is so much pain. Why would there be pain? Because you really, when somebody dislikes you, it means you really love them, or you dislike them, you really love them. That's why you have that pain. I mean, there are very, very few people say, thank God they're gone from my life. Very few. You can count them in your hands. But most people that cause you pain is because you love them. And deep in our soul, but we cover it with so many layers that we forget we really love them, and that's why we have the pain in the first place. And we cover ourselves with so many layers that we don't know who we are anymore. And all you have to do is go back to the old-fashioned way and say, sacrifice is not a bad word. A woman sacrifices a lot of pain in order to bear a child. Although nowadays, I believe in Hong Kong, everybody has epidural or cesarean because they don't want to spoil their bodies. So, you know, life has changed a lot. Is it wrong or right? There's no judgment. But it just shows us that how much less people are so much less tolerant of pain. This is why there is so much more suicides, so much more mental depression, so much more people taking drugs and alcohol, because they can't deal with what is so normal. Pain comes to everybody's life, whether you like it or not. So if you understand it, Karma Yoga is understanding it, know the tool to heal, and many times the best tool to heal pain is to forget about your pain. Not to hop on it, I'm in pain, poor me, I'm in pain. The more you repeat it, the worse you're going to be. Is to forget yourself. And here it says, live for the sake of others. Okay, I'm in pain, but you know what? You're in far more pain than I am. Let me come and help you. And when you see somebody else in far more pain, your pain? Nothing. So come home and be, oh, I thought this was painful. Poor things. That what they had to go through is hell. I'm really in heaven. And it puts your life in perspective. That's what Karma Yoga does. You realize how blessed you are. So this is the difference between Karma Yoga and karma. Okay? Karma is cause and effect. So we'll go to the next sloka. Through sacrifice, you cherish the gods, and they cherish you. Thus, loving one another, you reap the very highest. So, let me just read what Gurudev has to say, and I'll explain. After giving the way of sacrifice, he says, come on, if you do this, the devas, the divine beings, will be happy with your sacrifice. So offer everything to the divine beings, and in their turn, let them bless you. In this way, you are helping each other. Here the devas need not literally mean some beings up there. All are divine. When you sacrifice your life and do the things for others' sake, the others in return will do the same for you. And you know, I always tell the story of the chapati story, which I haven't told for ages, right? The good you do comes back to you, the evil you do stays with you. Do you remember that story?
Yes.
Yeah? It's my favorite story. Should I tell it again? I haven't told it for like a long time. See you, and maybe that's how I remember it. It's a story about this woman. She lived in a village. And in the town, there was this hunchback, and nobody liked this hunchback because he was rude, obnoxious, aggressive, and he would go asking for food wherever he went. So he went outside the town into this village, and he saw this woman, and he goes, "Please, please, please, give me some food." "Hi, come on in, no problem. Are there any more chairs? Would you need a chair? Are you happy in the floor?" Great. So he says to her, please give me food, I want food. And so she was sorry for the poor hunchback. Nobody likes him. So she makes him a nice chapati, which is Indian bread, and gives it to him. And he eats it and he sings, "The good you do comes back to you, the evil you do stays with you." So anyway, now that he's found somebody that will feed him, he goes every day outside her window singing this song, and she gives him a chapati. Now 6 months later, she's had enough of him. She can't stand him. She can't stand the song. She doesn't want to be good anymore. She's, you know what? I'm just going to poison him. I'll be doing everybody a favor to get rid of this hunchback. What good is he? I feed him and all he does is sing this silly rhyme and irritate me and doesn't leave my house, outside my house. So she decides to poison the chapati. So she takes the poison and she starts putting it in a dough, and she's really happy she's doing this. And then suddenly she's just about to give him the chapati and she shakes. She can't do it. She can't do it. So she takes the chapati, puts it in the bin, and makes a fresh one that is not poisoned and gives it to him. And she thinks in her head, "Tomorrow I'm going to poison him. Tomorrow I'll definitely do it." So anyway, that night she's sitting in her sitting room, and you know, for 2 years she'd been praying to God, "Please, my son has been lost at war for 2 years. I've not heard from him." So every night she had this prayer when she was sitting in her sitting room. Suddenly she hears a knock on the door. And she opens this door and she sees this thin, emaciated person that falls on the floor. And she turns him around and she looks and she goes, my son, you're home. You're really home. I can't believe it." And then he turns around. He said, "You know, Mother, I nearly didn't make it. I was 2 miles down the road, 2 miles. And nobody would give me food because I looked so horrible. So I was on the floor. I had no more energy to walk to you. And suddenly this hunchback came with this song and gave me this chapati to eat. And he sang this song, "The good you do comes back to you, the evil you do stays with you." And with the chapati, I had enough strength to walk back home. So you know, the moral of the story, you never know. Just never know. She had poisoned him, she would have poisoned her son. But the good she had done for 6 months really came back to her in a big way. She would have never expected it. So you never know. So sometimes when you're doing so much good and you're just like, "Oh, I don't want to do this anymore," just sit with it a little longer. You will see some light. You will see some light. It's just a test of time on your the way you can handle things. It's a real personal test. So that's sort of thing. And here it's talking about, so when you give to the devas, the gods, and you know, all the good things we call gods, of, you know, prosperous things, nice things, will come back and bless you and give you all those things that you need. So don't worry where your reward is coming from. Many times it will not come from where you expect it. It will come from a totally different direction. I often, you know, speak like when we first built the center in Gibraltar. When we were building it, I was really surprised. Many of my husband's friends who had nothing to do with the centre, came from London to visit or whatever, would come and talk to him and talk to me. I said, oh, my wife is building this yoga centre. Really? What's she doing? It's a charity. Oh, Nalanie, for you, £500. I never even expected that. A bank manager. Never even told him. He goes to my husband, no, I hear your wife is helping with this. You know, I don't know which charity to give to. I'll give it to yours. And now when we started with this SIS, Amber knows, we were given a name of this lawyer in Malaga, one of the top lawyers that charges something like, what did she say, 300, 400 pounds an hour?
Or more, I think
Euro,
500.
more,
Yeah.
500 euros an hour. We were introduced to him. So I told him about setting up the charity. And I took Amber because she's a lawyer. And, you know, I said, before we start and take on your services, I need to know how much you charge. You know, first he asked me a lot of questions, I told him, you can check me up on the internet, you can check me out, check. Anything he wants, just go, I'm giving him the absolute truth. And right at the end he says, there's no charge, I want to do it all for free, I want to. And we both started crying, we didn't expect that. We really got a shock. And he's done it. We've got the charity just last week, right? Done, and he even sent his secretary to Madrid by plane. He paid for her trip, and she was telling us, right? She said, so that we could get it quickly done. So he's paid for everything. We don't have to pay for a thing. So, you know, who would expect a total stranger? Why should he help us out? Not only that, 2 months later, he sends me an email, and he says, I want to give your charity 1,000 euros. So at that time, I had an email from India about educating some young girls to get their BA degrees. And to get a BA for them, 3 years course, was only like 300 euros or 400 euros. So I wrote back to him and I said, can we use your money to educate these 3 people for 3 years? He was so happy with it. And we were so happy because we made that charity so happy, and those 3 young girls, we've given them an opportunity. And from what? Somebody I don't really even know. I've only met him half an hour, right? Half an hour, 45 minutes a day. That's it. So, you know, when you think that everything is bringing you down, because I thought, what a headache, I have to go to lawyers, set up a charity, so much work, do I really have the time for this, you know? And all the gifts were given. We didn't have to spend any time, just one day to Malaga, and that's it. So life is quite interesting. So don't worry. When you're working for the sake of others, sometimes you get a lot of trials and you think, why am I bothering? Why am I doing this? Do I really want to do it? Don't worry. In the end you will see the good you do will come back to you.
And then today we've got sponsorship for the Special Needs Project.
We have? You got a sponsorship?
£2,700.
Thank you very much. Are you serious?
I'm serious. This was a charity that I used to work with in Gibraltar, but for a number of years have been dormant. We haven't done anything, and I remembered we have to close the account, and the monies have to be applied because it was a disability, charity that was about disability awareness, and so on. We have to obviously provide the monies to another similar charity with the same objects and purposes. So I asked for permission whether we could release monies to SIS, but obviously to be allocated for Little Miracles or the special needs workshop coming up, and Eric said yes. So send an email today. That was just from last week, from this last week.
Oh, that's fantastic. We'll have to meet and talk about that project then. Yeah. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. So,
but totally unexpected again, totally also.
Yeah, you just... Yeah, because all weekend we've been talking about special needs programs. You know, I was getting involved, my daughter, and then we went to see another woman. We've been talking about, let's bring it forward. Well, you know, on Saturday's teacher training, and you said you're interested. Yes, we would love to use her. She has great expertise, Audrey, as well. Right? Yes. So let's use her. And all weekend this has been going on, one meeting after another meeting after another meeting. So I told them, you just settle it now. Use this place whenever you want, and just let's help these kids. So thank you. Very pleased to hear that. And all of them are just so happy to give their time with love. But I felt they needed some sponsorship. All of them are quite young, and all of them need the finances. So I said, this place is only by donation. I wish we could get, I was thinking in my head, I wish I could get somebody who would pay them even a little, even if it's 20 euros for their petrol, for the work they're doing the day, because I think it's also important to look after people who are making a living, because I'm always looked after, and I think the gods have provided this. So we go to, so you see now it makes sense, right? Life makes sense. Cherished by the spirit of sacrifice, the gods give you everything you want. But remember, whoever receives gifts from the gods without offering anything back is a thief. Wow. What do you think? Our world is falling apart? Why do you think the economy is falling apart? Just look. It's all greed. I remember when I was so much younger and I used to fly with my dad, and when you're on a plane, everybody was so polite and so nice. And you get lovely hot meals, right? And they were really quite nice. I used to love plane food. And now it's all greed. You have to pay, they charge you more, you have to pay for this awful, starchy baguette that's so unhealthy and so cold to eat when you're freezing on the plane. And you have to pay for it. And there's no service. Service is lost. And you see it in so many businesses.
Sorry, where's actually air hostess? She's cringing, saying, "No, I'm British Airways." No, I am British Airways. Everything she's free on British Airways.
Thank God you work for the right airline.
Yeah, we don't have to pay. It is free. It's so free.
Oh, thank God, thank God, thank God, thank God. It's good. So you can keep taking them, teach them to give more, and they will receive more.
Absolutely, yeah.
Teach them. Because you see, and also remember in the old days, people used to be in Spain in the old days. Some of you lived here many years. Don't you remember whenever you walked into a Spanish restaurant, what would they do first? Give you a little tapita. Yeah? Always give you a little tapita. And the Spanish restaurants, all the little bars and everything used to be packed with people. Do you remember those days? Nowadays, you're lucky if you get anything, Do you see that? And now they're always worried about business, and because they're worried, that instead of putting their prices down and looking after people, they put their prices up and give you less. So it's all, this giving, this serving is lost. And where was it? The other day we went, I don't know where I went with my children, some restaurant, I can't even remember. And we went and they started bringing us tapitas. As soon as we sat down, and of course because they do that right away, there's a feeling you want to order more, or there's this feeling of prosperity, and then you always leave a good tip, more than you would normally. So, we were saying, why don't people in all the restaurants do this? All the restaurants, why is this restaurant packed? Packed. Because, it was the Italian restaurant down here.
They do it in Italy.
Yeah, they do it in Italy.
Fill the place with free tapas, aperitif.
Isn't that lovely? And the people get happy and they actually spend more. They will spend more. They will stay later. They want you to do well. See the good you do? Do you see that? But now everybody's like, they're so worried about the money that they forgot the love of the work. And and that's all it's saying. When you receive, remember, when you get these gifts, when you own this and you have all these beautiful things, always give something back. Always give something back. My father also always says that whenever you get when I first got my first wage, when I got my first job, he said, Nalanie, take 10% and give it to a charity. Always take 10% and give it to a charity. He said, you must give something back. And that's what I always did since I was a child, because that's what I saw him do. He just didn't tell me to do it. He always did that more than 10% he gave. But, that is what it's saying here. And it's fun. When people come to your home and you feed them and you give them stuff, you feel happy. You feel this nice feeling of home. And this is what Gurudev says here, and I'd love to read it to you. There are 5 types of giving and taking. The Gita gives names to them. 1. If you take 100% and you don't give anything in return, you can be called a thief. 2. If you take 100% and give 50%, you're a debtor. You owe. If you take 100% and give 100%, you're a great business person. That's how business should be done. Give in return for what is received. You know, and this is what we used to do in the shop. You always double the cost, right? And you give the quality. So, and you just like, for example, if something cost us $10, we double it to 20, for example, because you'd have to cover your rent, your wages, but you'd give the good product for the best price, because within that you make a little profit for yourself as well. But then people started getting greedy, and you know, many retailers we knew said, oh, you don't 100%, that's nothing, you'll never make money. So what they do is learn to find cheaper goods that weren't of good quality and put it up by maybe 700%. Well, we've seen that. Not designer goods sold for designer goods, and then making money in that way. And that is really, really dishonest. It's not fair to the person who's paid such a lot of money to get rubbish. And let me tell you a story here about milk money and water money. May I? There was this man who used to sell milk across the river from his village. So every day he would take this lovely milk from his cows and sell the milk. And everybody loved his milk so much. So he always sold everything. So he thought, I'm getting rich, I'm getting rich. But I can't produce any more milk because I only have the same amount of cows. So he thought, why don't I dilute the milk with water? I can sell double and I'll make more money. And of course, the people from the village across, they just trusted him by this time. So they would buy more milk and he made more money. So one day, he was going back home across the village and it was stormy and the boatman was saying, run in the boat, it's really stormy, the waves are really high. So he took the money. In those days, you know, they used to tie their money with the handkerchiefs like that in a knot and tie it to their dhotis, their clothes, right? So he took one bag and another bag. And while they were on the boat was really going up and down. It's a huge wave, and of course the wave loosened, the force loosened the hanky, and the money all started going when he was going, my money! And the boatman started laughing and laughing and laughing. Why are you laughing? I've just lost my money. And he laughed and he said, you think I don't know? Milk money stays with milk money. Water money goes to water. It's exactly like for like, right? So it doesn't pay in the end to take anything that isn't yours, you know, it really doesn't. And to do something so dishonest, you know, because if you're selling quality, people like it, you'll become rich in time. Maybe you won't become a multimillionaire, but also you won't lose your money badly. Money made honestly will stay. You know, I've seen so many people. I remember once I was, one person called me and their child had, 11-year-old was really sick with cancer. And I found out they were drug dealers. And it was really quite sad because they couldn't save their child. He died actually. And I had to tell them, you know, I said, you know how it feels to lose your child? Offers, I'd do anything. My father said, I'd do anything. Cut my right hand, cut my leg to kill myself to have my child, but nothing, I can't do anything for him. I said, you know, you really need to think about this the way you are living. Because you think how many children have died because of the drugs that you sell. And I said, I am really, really, really sorry to tell you this at such a painful time in your life. But really think again. Because whatever you do will come back to you. He stopped dealing in drugs. But he lost his child. High price. High price. Only one child. But it's sad, isn't it? So you think, you know, what's the point? I guess that child came to him to teach him that lesson. You know, you always see the bigger picture afterwards. That child chose to have that disease to teach the father and mother that was not the way to carry on. It's a hard lesson.
That's a hard lesson, definitely.
Hard lesson. I thought it was a very hard lesson. I really had nothing but compassion for these people. But I think they had to see themselves and what they were doing to other people's children. And so the next one. If you take 50% and give 100%, you are called a righteous person. But if someone takes nothing and gives even 10%, 15%, or 100%, whatever possible, what do you call that person? A saint, a yogi. And so that's what Gurudev says. And if you have the Gita, it's really nice. I've knocked it off, as you can see. And it says, righteous people who eat what is left after yajna are freed from past sins. But those who prepare food only for themselves are creating more sin. Now sin here doesn't mean sin as we know it. It means, sin means something, an obstacle. Thank you.
This is what you said before, it's not my...
Thank you for reminding me. Thank you.
I'll be back. Yeah.
It says, you know, when you just think everything you do is for me, it's for me. My clothes, many people told me they used to live like that in the past. Everything is for me. My home, my this, my that. You know, it's almost like they feel there's no joy in that. When you're just doing everything for me, it's an emptiness in it. There's a dryness in it. There's that selfishness doesn't make these people happy. They create addictions. That's all I've seen. When people say me, I need, they create a world of addictions. And then they're tied to these addictions. And with these people, they have no peace. Zero peace, because they're so attached to all the things that they need. So that's what it's saying. It's saying when you share, you share with everyone, and then you have what is left over, it makes you happy because you've shared it with everyone. Like mothers and fathers do, right? They share everything they have, but nowadays is different. But in the old days, you know, our parents, I think, did everything to make us grow up well. They sacrificed, they worked very hard, long hours to give us the best education, you know? And the gift was us being happy and finding our road. At least that was my parents, you know? Just seeing us happy was all they wanted from us. And their sacrifice was so beautiful, because now all we want to do is, all the children, all 7 of us, want to look after them. Well, my father's gone now, but we adore our mom. And you know, no matter what she says to us, our inside energy is just wanting to make them happy. It's natural. And with that feeling comes like a cycle of goodness, a cycle of love. It is like that. When we're talking about that, we're talking about children, Maudi and me. So we're very, very blessed. Our children really look after us when we need them. When we need them, they're there, you know. But it's been many years of sacrifice, you know, not doing what we wanted, and saying, no, we're going to not have this so that the kids could have it. Many years of doing that. And also not giving them extras. Not sacrificing and give them all the latest toys, no. They had to understand that sacrifice was true sacrifice, and no toys, no party toys. Kids, you have to earn those. You get what you need and what is good for you, or what will make you intelligent and smart and happy, but not the extra stuff that will make you spoiled. So, you know, it's the only way the children can learn. So here it goes, the next one. And it says, well, yeah, when you do that, then you don't create anything negative. And then, here it goes, the next sutra. From food all beings arise. Oh yes, no, I did 13. Righteous people who eat.
Yes.
From fruit all beings rise. From rain food originates. Rain is the result of selfless sacrifice, and sacrifice is the result of actions. We all need food to live. And what it's saying here is that the universe works in conjunction with us. When we do everything right, when we treat the earth right, when we are willing to give, the universe is also willing to give us everything we need, the food we need. And we all need food to live, spiritual and physical food. And this is how it works. Rain will come when we make sacrifices. This is why, for example, in the American Indian tradition or African tradition, when they have a drought, they feel that they need to do something to change the energy. So they do all these chants and everything. They make lots of sacrifices to the gods, to appease the gods, to bring the rain. And many times you see after they do these sacrifices, it does rain. So, and I have seen many times when when there's a very spiritual retreat or something, many times we've been where everybody cares about each other and everybody is looking after each other. There's always some rain at that retreat, even if it's 2 or 3 minutes, almost to say, bless the earth. This is a blessing, always. But I've only seen this at retreats, when people are very working, treating each other, as really brother and sister. And one of the retreats we went to, we didn't get that, right? It was not very nice. No rain. No rain. First time I went on. It was really quite interesting. Yeah.
It's true. Sometimes it's not rain, but sometimes the trees just like that. You remember when we went in the car and there was a splash of water over the car?
Oh, yeah. Oh my God. From nowhere. Huh?
There was nowhere.
There was nowhere. It was
That was like a blessing.
Yeah, it was. We were in a car. Should we tell that story,
Yeah.
Maudie? Coming back from America after we'd done this retreat, on our way to the airport to come home, we had an Native American Indian in the car talking about symbols, according to the language, when you saw something, what it meant, right? Bright sunny days, driving along this avenue, and we're talking about the self, all of us. Vicky, you were there too with us. And we were just talking about, he was talking a lot, and Maudie and Vicky were chatting with him, was slightly falling asleep, and suddenly, from nowhere, the car gets this shower of rain. Just one big splash on our window screen. No, it's bright and sunny, and we all laughed. And what did he say right away? He said, and that is the gods are happy with us. The blessing from the gods, the shower that we got. It was really quite it was phenomenal, because you just don't see that, So yeah, that was really interesting. Well, like all of us, what an experience! Really from nowhere. It's quite something. So know that action, karma, comes from the creative intelligence, Brahman. Brahman means God or energy or whatever. Know that action comes from creative intelligence, which is of the imperishable, the eternal. The all-pervading Brahma thus is forever centered in self-sacrifice. Here it's saying that look at the idea of God or the universe or whatever you want to call it, the divine being or the highest self. Look at this, it's always giving of itself, because everything that is created through that. Now, who created us? Who were the designers? I know we come through our parents' body, but who put the soul into the body? Where did we come from? It's always creative. It comes from a creative source. So when we use our creative intelligence, we are using that God source in us, ourselves. So it's saying that God is continuously giving its creativity to us all the time. All the time. It is sacrificing itself to be in us in many, many bits for us to experience this fabulous energy. And that's what it's saying here. For us. And don't you understand? That's why when you're really creatively intelligent, you know that feeling when you're like sparkling all over with these new ideas and new energies. Don't you feel like so dynamic? There is something so wonderful in you, and you don't know where it's coming from. So where's all this inspiration coming from, you know? And it's coming from the divine source. Take care. Oh, that's my cue at 7:15, right? Oh, wonderful. Because she gives a private class up here at 7:30, so she has to go and teach. So that's what it means there. Anyone here on earth, Arjuna, who does not align himself with the revolving wheel, sacrifice, action, God, sacrifice, but instead chooses to waste his life delighting only in the senses, lives in vain. Here he is really saying that people who don't realize that life is about knowing that the creative energy comes to you, you share it with somebody else, then it comes back to you. It's all a cycle of goodness. And when you haven't understood that and you live only for your selfish needs, I want to collect, it's almost like your life is in vain. It doesn't mean anything. Because like I said so many times, and again a few weeks ago at the same thing, somebody who's had everything come and says to me, what is the use of all these things? I don't understand. It doesn't make me happy. I have everything, but I feel I have nothing. Because life has always been centered about just making money, getting higher positions. And now this person got the higher positions, got the money, but there's no meaning. There's no meaning in life. Because it was all about collecting and not sharing. And it just says that you feel your life is in vain. And like the person a few weeks ago, I've had many people in my life saying, my next step is death, I'm getting old. What am I doing with all this? You know, how do I want to live off my last days? So live beautifully yourself, have a nice holiday, and share some with other people. You know, if you have a little extra, ask somebody and let them enjoy it with you. Have a good time. But share it and offer it back to the God. Say, I'm enjoying this for you. If I can't do much to serve the world, at least what you have given me, I'm enjoying for you. And then there's a feeling of generosity to even yourself. You know, my master used to say, nothing is ours, not even our body, you know, which is the truth, we know that. And he used to say, you know, Nalanie, even when you have a shower in the morning, reinforce in your mind, I am washing the Lord's body. I am washing the Lord's hair. Because it's not you. But if you can see yourself as the Lord, then what will happen is then you will respect that energy in you. You will respect yourself. And that way your self-esteem will grow. And if you can see the God in you, then you understand that it doesn't come from you. And the same thing that is in you is in everybody else, equally. It's just that they've forgotten. They're not awake to it. But if one person can be awake to it, then more people can become awake to it. That's all, spreading the candlelight. That's all. So, and this is what it's saying here. So respect yourself first and foremost. You've been given a great gift. Look after this body, look after this mind in the right way. In the right way. Good thoughts, keep your body clean, healthy, looking nice. Why not? And then share what you have, your personality, your goodness, your kindness with everybody else. The best in you, share with others. Take the best. And you know, there are days, you have bad days, everybody does. Master Shivananda used to say, lock yourself in a room till you get better. He was so straightforward. And I said, when you get better, get out there and don't spread that kind of disease to the world. So, because it has enough. We just want to spread something nice out. And it's okay to have a bad day. It's really okay. So long as you keep it here and then drop it quickly.
That's what I did today.
Good. Is that what you did?
Locked myself in the room. 5 minutes.
Did you? And how did you feel when you came out?
Good, that's why I'm here.
Good, good. You see, you accept the way you feel. There's nothing bad about the way you feel. You should never feel guilty. Good, very good. You're using the tools. Just, get to understand yourself well and say it's normal. It's normal. It's normal. It's not good or bad. It's just knowing the right tools to use at the right time, in the right place, in the right circumstances. Prolonged sorrow will drown you. That's all. Prolonged sorrow will drown you. So pick yourself up. No ways. Find these techniques. So the next sloka. And then I think I'll finish because we're getting late. The qualities of nature. Yes and no.
Yeah.
The qualities of nature, calmness, restlessness.
17, I think you missed, right?
Did I? Oh, sorry, yes, I missed the whole 2 pages.
Yes.
Thank you. Whoever delights in the self, finds satisfaction in the self, and is centered in the self, surely has no further duties. Whoever delights in the self, self with a capital S, delights in the self. You know that this God-like energy, or this energy, this God, this universe, lives within you, and you delight in it. And that's exactly what Gurudev was saying. I'm washing the Lord's body. I'm combing the Lord's. You delight in the self. Finds satisfaction in the self. You realize, because you found that there's this higher thing in you, and then you're satisfied. You've developed your faith. You're satisfied in the self. And you're centered in the self, surely has no further duties. In other words, don't worry. Once you've centered, once you know who you really are, once you're confident, once you have that complete faith, then don't worry about what you have to do or what you don't have to do. It will come to you. Whatever you need to do will come to you, and you will know. You will know. Then, at last, there is nothing to get by doing something, nothing to lose by doing nothing, and no dependencies on anyone for anything. Then, at last, there is nothing to get by doing something. Then, finally, you get this feeling of peace. You are not struggling to get something from people, or to get something from life, or to get something from the universe. Oh, you need this, oh, you need that, oh, you need that. You're not tormented, because you're so centered. You know that whatever you need is going to be given to you. You're so clear. So you don't worry about it anymore. You don't struggle to get knowledge. I have to study so much to get this. You know that whatever you need will be given to you. That's a really nice feeling of peace. That's when you really become free. You don't have to grasp. And then you don't also have to, then you also realize there are days when you maybe just don't feel like doing anything. Maybe you're just watching a DVD. You just want to relax. You don't worry about that too. Because you also understand that that is also coming from the divine. There is an energy in that. It's not a dullness. There's like an energy in that, because you know that you're living from a very deep place. The real you, the spiritual you. So you won't judge everything you do. Today I feel like watching a nice DVD. Great, have fun. Let me enjoy it. There's no judgment, which we often do to ourselves and destroy ourselves. And no dependency on anyone or anything. You're so strong in yourself. Whoever you're with, you'll be with them because you love them, not because you need them. And that is freedom. When you're clinging to somebody, when you need to possess somebody because you need them, I need you, it's actually not a nice feeling for the person who does the needing. It's very sickly, isn't it? When you need somebody so much, you don't feel good in yourself. But when you feel strong, I can do this myself. There's a feeling of independence that makes you feel so nice. Like the first time I lit a fire was the happiest for me. I really come from a family who was city girl. And me light a fire. I said, my dad could see me like this. He'd be so proud of me. And I love it. And I love it every time I do it. Now, I just wasn't the kind of person to bring wood and light fires, But to learn to be dependent, living alone, to light a fire, such a small thing, but I think it's such a God thing, such a God habit I've developed now that I love. It makes me so happy. I can't understand why lighting a fire would make me so happy, but it does.
Fire.
Yeah, it's the fire, energy, the feeling of independence. Can you please light the fire for me? No, I'm not fearful of the fire. I'm not fearful of that energy. I love it, I'm going to do it. So it's just funny how when you become independent with everything, it gives you, I can't do anything I want, really. It's a fallacy to think that we need so many people to do things for us, and we need. We have everything we need deep inside of us. And the creativity is right here. And that's the freedom you get. And that is freedom. It's a really lovely feeling. Everything new you do is exciting. It becomes an adventure. Therefore, always do your duty without attachment. If you do things without desiring the results for yourself, you will experience the highest day. Here again, he's just repeating himself. So do whatever comes to you. Knowing who you are now, just do what comes to you. And if you just do it and think you're offering it to the highest, you will achieve that highest peace. You will. Because there'll be no, why should I, I should be doing this, why should I be doing this, I want this one, why am I always giving all the giving, all this torture. It's come to me. Wow, the gods think I'm so special, they think I can handle this. You know what? I'm going to prove to them I can. And then you feel so happy you can handle it. And that's what you look at it, because you like yourself more. Otherwise you're always criticizing yourself, thinking I can't handle it, it's too much for me. Then you have a low self-esteem, you think you're not good enough. Rubbish. Here he's telling you once you know that you are good enough. You take what you can take, and you have a bad day, you have a bad day. Just how to react with it. Don't feel guilty. Too many people feel guilty about having a bad day. No big deal. Let it go. But know that ultimately you can climb every mountain. You literally can when you are centered in that self. And trust it. And you will. That's all it's saying here.